Þá mér heiður að kynna Dr. Magnús Yngvi Jósefsson sem rannsóknarstjóri skrifstofu borgarstjóra og borgarritara hjá Reykjavíkuborg. Hann ætlar að tala við okkur framlag evrópskra rannsóknar og nýsköpunarverkefna til græna plansins. Það umhverfismálin. Gjörðu svo vel.
So where do I find my slides?
Það þarna á desktop.
Let's go there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lucy, for your excellent rendition of the relationship between the EU and Iceland. Thank you all for being here, and greetings to those that are attending online. My name is Magnús Yngvi Jósefsson, and I'm Reykjavik's Research Programme Manager, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the contributions of the European Research and Innovation Programme and projects to Reykjavik's Green Deal. Now, as Lucy said, she touched upon the EU's emphasis on climate actions and the Green Deal. And the European Green Deal is, of course, part of the EU's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's part of a very big regeneration programme. But, of course, woven into that is also the need and the EU's recognition of the need for very rapid and determined climate action. So the aim, of course, is no net emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050, that economic growth should be decoupled from resource use, and very importantly, in the context of why we're here today, is that no person and no place should be left behind. And of course, this is linked to the United Nations sustainability goals. The Green Deal, the European Green Deal, is of course a very ambitious programme, and you can see on the slide the various actions that the Green Deal is emphasising. It is looking at accelerating the shift to sustainable and smart mobility. It is looking at transforming farming practices, going green in farming. It is looking at preserving and restoring ecosystems and biodiversity, transforming our industries, making them greener. But as Lucy pointed out in her presentation, in her talk, then mobilising research and innovation is at the core of the EU's thinking and strategy. And that I think is very important. And of course, at the core also is that no one should be left behind in this transition. Now, the Reykjavik Green Deal, or the Reykjavik Green Plan, is really a spin of the European Green Deal. And it is philosophically and practically of the same stem. It is based on the United Nations Global Goals for Sustainable Development. It highlights 3 dimensions of sustainable development: environmental, social and economic. It aims at creating wealth and quality of life without depleting natural resources, and also, of course, leaving no one behind. But very importantly, the Reykjavik Green Deal, or our rendition of the Green Deal, is also based on local priorities and requirements. And you see this, evidence of this is the tremendous build-up of green housing and the transformation of urban planning within the municipality. In the wheel, on the right, you see some of the areas that the Green Deal will be, the Reykjavik Green Deal will be emphasising, and there's adapting to climate change generally, green housing developments, green transport, and so on and so forth. The Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development and its subsidiary, the Observatory for Public Sector Innovation, are quite influential thought leaders in the field of public sector transformation and urban transformation. And this report, Enhancing Innovation Capacity in City Government from 2019, states that successful public sector innovation requires the creation of an ecosystem that promotes experimentation and flexibility and takes into account the social needs of citizens. And this is something that is part of the Reykjavik Green Deal. There is an internal transformation underway. We are rethinking both governance and government, and thinking about ways to do exactly this, to create an ecosystem of innovation. But of course, part of that is joining existing ecosystems of innovation, and there is no greater ecosystem of innovation, in my view, than the European Union and its research and innovation programs. And to that end, the unit that I lead was established in 2016 to do exactly this, to encourage and support Reykjavik's participation in international research and innovation projects. And that, of course, means reaching out to Europe, but also to the Nordic countries. And what we want to do is to gain state-of-the-art knowledge in key policy areas, of course, and strengthen our connections to international research and innovation. But we also want to build bridges between local innovators and entrepreneurs and their counterparts in Europe and abroad. So not just exposing them to what's going on in that international space, but also creating collaborations and linkages for them. And of course, through this work, we want to join a European community of urban innovators, a community of practice of urban innovators. Now, you don't usually talk about proposals that don't get funded, but I'm going to do that because I think it's valuable. Since 2016, late 2016, we've participated in, or we've been involved in 43 proposals. They're all from Horizon 2020, one from Horizon Europe, actually. And the reason I want to talk about them is that they all are an opportunity for us to engage with experts in Europe, institutions, some of the most respected institutions, organizations, NGOs, experts, and the value that we extract from that work and that collaboration, even though the work doesn't get funded, is very valuable. And most of the projects or proposals that we, and the projects that we have been working on and gained have been extracted from Horizon 2020 and the societal challenges and cluster within that program. That includes PACE. And there in the diagram on the left, you see sort of broadly how the proposals break down. In my view, they can all be pulled together in one big climate action footprint, but broadly speaking, you see that they are focused on climate action and digital transformation, mobility, of course, and urban transformation, that is more towards urban planning, that kind of work, education, health, and then governance. And the PACE project, that is the reason why we're here today, is pulled out of the governance strand. Now, through this work, we are now embedded in the European Research and Innovation Network and the Quadruple Helix of collaboration and co-creation. So the Quadruple Helix is something that is really at the core of the EU's thinking around this. And it's the idea that to truly innovate, you have to bring together the key stakeholders, and those are the public sector, industry, and the science community, researchers, academia, but also citizens, of course. And you will see the Quadruple Helix popping up in the literature flowing from the EU if you explore that. Now, through this work, when we win grants, we get funds to do research and innovation. We create and we engage in new partnerships, and we get to collaborate with international researchers, innovators and stakeholders that are working on problems that we are working on and interested in. And you see there that in the slide I have wicked in brackets, because most of the problems that we are working on are wicked problems. They are problems that themselves, they cannot be solved permanently, but we have to somehow figure out a workaround. And arguably, there is no solution to how we do democracy, but it is something that is under continuous revision. We benefit from collective sense-making. We are all trying to make sense of the future and the challenges that we are looking at. Difficult challenges, looking beyond the immediate horizon, and being able to do that with our peers, counterparts abroad, particularly for a small community like Iceland is of some value. We get to experiment with innovative concepts, processes, tools, and governance models. But of course, as I said before, we support local entrepreneurs and innovators, connecting them to their counterparts in Europe, and hopefully creating awareness of some of the great work that happens here in Iceland. We gain lessons learned, methodologies and tools from some of the most respected institutions in Europe, and hopefully we become smarter. You know, we are able to do better policy, get better at implementing policies and learning from policies. So our portfolio, we have 5 projects that we have won. The Wi-Fi for EU is just a very small grant to install Wi-Fi in public spaces, so I won't dwell on that. The other 4 projects, 3 of them are big Horizon 20 projects, and we have a cost action, which is slightly different from the other projects. And as I said, then through this work, we have gained an extensive network, almost numbering 600 institutions, organizations, people, experts, NGOs, companies, corporates, SMEs that we have gained through the proposal work and through the project work, and we have access to those resources. We can talk to them and we can learn from them, but they of course can also learn from us. And you see there we have institutions like the German Science, the Foundation, German Science Institute Fraunhofer, with 26,000 employees working on a whole constellation of problems. In terms of the project themselves, I'm not going to dwell on them. The populist civic engagement and project is of course why we're here today. We are looking at the European Union is of course the owner of the project, and we are looking at analysing the rise of populist movements in Europe and how the European Union, how liberal democracies should respond to that. So we want to study and propose and test some policy-oriented responses and identify strategies for strengthening liberal democratic values. But importantly, of course, we want to engage with stakeholders, and we have engaged with stakeholders, and especially underrepresented groups, which of course is the topic of this symposium today. And there on the right you see some of the work packages of that particular project and some of the outputs there on the far right in purple. More of course on the website. The Sparks project is a 20 million euro 5-year lighthouse project that is concerned with energy transformation. And in this project there are 2 lighthouse cities, Espoo in Finland and Leipzig in Germany. They are doing experiments, testing solutions for energy transformation. And then there's a group of fellow cities, and Reykjavik is one of them, that get to implement those solutions according to our priorities and needs. So that's a very interesting project, high value, very relevant to the Green Deal. And there in the figure on the right, you see some of the solutions that the Sparks project offers. And it's really it's really for us to try to make the most of those solutions. And of course, it's also part of the EU's vision for 2050 for carbon neutrality. The cost action is slightly different. Cost actions don't fund directly the implementation of technologies or solutions, but they do fund stakeholders a meeting, getting together, holding workshops, brainstorming, and thinking about smart things to do. So very often cost actions are sort of the preamble to proposals and projects. This particular cost action is about how we may develop smart and healthy AIDS-friendly environments. And that, of course, is one of the big challenges that we're looking at, the aging population, and this project is about how we may utilize these technologies to enable the aged to stay at home, really, and live there with dignity. The Impulse project, Identity Management in Public Services, is the latest project. It's a 4 million euro 3-year project, and there we are participating in the development of a European electronic identity authentication solution. We are one of 6 public sectors that are participating in the project, and in addition to being part of developing the solution, we are also looking at what it means for the public sector to implement technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchains, and these deep tech technologies that we don't really, sometimes don't really know what to do with or what the actual imprint will be in the long term, looking at the ethical aspect of it, looking at the legal aspect of it, and so on and so forth. And in this project, we are also participating in the development of a European blockchain services infrastructure. So very interesting. Now, these projects are all pulled from Horizon 2020 Societal Challenges. They are placed there beside the subcluster that pay for them. And there on the left, we have Reykjavik's various policies, and these projects all contribute across really Reykjavik's policy spectrum. So it's very important that we are able to align these projects with of course, the policies of Reykjavik, and that they contribute to the different policy areas. Looking towards the future, this is built on Horizon 2020. It is now powered by the Reykjavik Green Deal. We are looking towards Horizon Europe, and in particular the missions. We have 3 pillars: society, climate action, and digital transformation, and that's where these projects sit. And we want to populate these pillars with more projects that will then feed into our eligibility into, of course, Horizon Europe, and in particular the missions. And Horizon Europe is almost a €100 billion project running for the next few years. And there we are looking at Pillar 2, and there are many different opportunities for proposal writing there. Some of them I have pulled out of Cluster 5. Here we have opportunities to participate in projects that sort of are spin-offs from PACE as well, relevant to the advancement of democracy. And you see there that there are plenty of opportunities for the City of Reykjavik to collaborate with counterparts in Europe, but also with academia and local stakeholders. And finally, towards the missions, which is going to be a transformative program of 5 missions around topics that the EU considers fundamental to our future. And the missions are 5. 4 of them are climate actions, really. The 5th one is on cancer. The City of Reykjavik is very keen on a mission called 100 Climate Neutral and Smart Cities. And as the text says, the aim of the mission is to support, promote, and showcase 100 European cities in their systemic transformation to climate neutrality by 2030. And Reykjavik, is really keen to participate, to become a mission city. And in my view, I think Reykjavik has everything it needs to be a lead city in such a mission. Now, the implementation documents have just been published by the EU, so our work is set ahead of us, and they even come with a manual. So thank you all very much, and thank you, of course, for the organisers of this workshop, Dr. Roxana Elena Tika, and I look forward to participating in the symposium and in the workshop tomorrow. Thank you.